This week I've picked out 10 tools that I have in my shop that I use on a daily basis, and I feel every woodworker, whether you're a beginner or you're someone that's been doing it for a while, should own. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back. Jason with Bessey Woodworking, and in this video I would like to discuss 10 tools that I have and I use on a daily basis that I truly believe every woodworker should have. Before we begin, don't worry, they're not going to cost you an arm and a leg. All the tools that I've chosen are relatively affordable tools that you can pick up at just about any Woodcraft, Rockler, Highland Woodworking, or any of the woodworking stores that you have in your area. They're all pretty common, or you can just simply order them online. And if you're interested in doing that, I'll go ahead and leave links to every single one of these products that I talk about today down in the description below, and you can check them out at any time. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into the first item that I have on the list. The first item I want to show you guys is these setup blocks made by Kreg. And you buy them and they come in this nice case. And inside of it, you'll have setup blocks for anywhere from 1/8 all the way to 1/2 inch. And this is what they look like. And so this distance from here to the bottom is a 1/2 inch, and obviously it's the same with each one of the ones that are in this box. These come in very handy when you want to set the height of your router bits, table saw blade, and it also is very good if you're trying to figure out spacing, because each one of these is perfectly 1/4 of an inch, and you can use these for spacing whether you stack them together to try to get the proper spacing, or you just have to use one to get 1/4 of an inch. These have come in extremely useful, and I use them on a daily basis for many things. The next tool that I want to talk about is a pin nailer. Now, a lot of people have brad nailers. This is a 23 gauge pin nailer, and it's made by Grex. The reason why I'm recommending a pin nailer as opposed to a brad nailer is for the longest time I used a brad nailer and really just hated filling all the holes that they created, because the hole is not huge, but it's larger than it is on a pin nailer. So after talking to one of the reps from Grex, he talked me into getting a pin nailer, and I'm really glad that he did it, because I honestly don't ever use a brad nailer anymore, because there's two benefits to using the pin nailer. And one, obviously, is if you're doing trim, the pin nailer works very well at making very small holes that are almost not even needed to be filled. And the other benefit is that it has plenty of holding power for you to pin something in order for you to get the clamps on it. So instead of having both guns, even though I do have a brad nailer, it really never gets used. And I just use the pin nailer, and this is an excellent pin nailer. I've used a lot of brad and pin nailers, and I've always had issues with every single one that I've purchased, except for this one. I've never had a misfire, and I have never had it fail to reach the desired depth. It's extremely reliable, and it has served me very well and has fitted all of my needs. The third tool that I want to talk about is a drill, a cordless drill that has the ability to use a right angle attachment. And no, it doesn't have to be Festool. There are plenty of other brands out there that sell right angle attachments for the drills. The thing that I want to point out is just how useful a right angle attachment is. So I didn't think that I would really ever use it in the beginning, but then the more I started doing cabinets, drawers, even things that anywhere you have a tight space where you need to put a screw in, using this one time made me realize just how valuable it is. And the other thing that I love is having a compact, very small drill, because that helps get into tight spaces. So definitely a cordless drill that has a right angle attachment is almost a must and a necessity, at least in my shop. Number 4, I want to highlight parallel clamps. So these are Bessey. I have a whole bunch of them. There's many other companies. I know Irwin, I know Jet, and there are some other companies that do make these clamps. These clamps are the most used clamps in my shop. You do pay a little bit more for them as opposed to maybe some of the smaller clamp options, but these are invaluable if you're somebody that does tabletops, cutting boards, any large surfaces. Really anything. The clamping pressure is phenomenal. You don't get the bow in the bar itself, because the jaws push together this way, applying equal pressure all the way across the board, and they just work really well. There's no clamp that I would recommend more than a parallel clamp. The next thing I want to talk about is something that I think is genius and I just haven't seen on any other miter saws, and that is this hold down clamp. Now, it's not the traditional hold down clamp that you have to sit here and turn, the one that pretty much nobody ever uses because it takes so long. This is the easiest operation for a hold down clamp that I've ever used, and I actually use it every single time that I cut something, and here's why. So I can just use one hand, one finger even, push down my rod, I lock this in place, and it holds it nice and tight and it's not going anywhere. Makes using the miter saw much, much safer. Now, this is a Festool exclusive product. However, I know that it is compatible with many other miter saws. You simply turn it and you can lift it out just like this. You can switch it to either side. And it goes right back in, no problem. It's such an easy device to use, and I'm really surprised that other companies have not switched to it. I have had a couple kickbacks on a miter saw a few times when I was not using this or the hold down. Since I have used this, I have never once had a single kickback on my miter saw. To me, this is invaluable and it makes this whole system completely worth it. And I highly recommend that you see if this is compatible with your miter saw and pick one up. One of my new favorite items that I've added to my table saw by far are these Jessem clear-cut stock guides. And I'm going to show you just how easy it is to set up and explain exactly how they work. To set these up, it's quite simple. All you do is you take your arms, place them out, place the bottom of the black metal housing on top of your material, lock them down, pull them out. So now the purpose of these is these rollers are at an angle inward, and the reason they're at an angle inward is because they are designed to pull the material into the fence. The second thing that's great about them is they only roll one way. You can't roll it backwards, meaning the board can't shoot back out towards you. And if we're talking about safety, that makes this table saw twice as safe for me to use and not have to worry about a kickback. So I'll give you an idea of just what they do in real time. So if you look right here, you can see the gap that is created from the fence to the piece of wood. And as I push this, the board is pulled into the fence and it stays against the fence. Now, that was a very extreme example, having it so far away. Usually that's not gonna happen. However, these will keep it up against the fence nice and tight, and at no point will I be able to get this board out because the wheels are locked and it does not allow me to take it out. And to push it through, I simply push it. The great thing about it is they're extremely easily adjustable. You can just loosen it, put it out of the way, lock them back down, and then you continue to use your table saw in normal operation. The last group of tools that I want to talk about are actually tools that are on me at all times when I'm in my shop because they are all part of my apron. They're all tools that I use so often I thought were so important that I wanted to have them on me at all times. The first of those tools is the Incra Tiny T. And if you've been following me on Instagram, then you know that I'm definitely a fan of this Incra Tiny T. And I'll bring it in close just so you can see it. But you have all of these slots and all of these holes with corresponding measurements. And the great thing about the Incra Tiny T is, one, it's extremely small. Two, you can go in increments all the way up to a 64th of an inch. So a 16th, a 32nd, and 64th of an inch is all possible on this little Incra Tiny T. Now, they don't only have the Tiny T, they have a much larger version, not much larger, but it is a 6-inch ruler, same exact style, with the same exact capabilities, which they can also be bought in millimeters if you have taken the plunge and switched over to millimeters. Hands down, my most used measuring device in the shop, and it's great. This costs $20, and it is the most valuable measuring device that I have in my entire shop, and I use it constantly. The next thing that I keep on me at all times, and this I actually keep 2 of them on me, is a card scraper. I went a very long time without owning a card scraper, but now that I have one, I wouldn't not want to have one. It's a very affordable tool, it works great. The things that I use my card scrapers for the most, if you notice, I have one that's very beat up, and I have one that is brand new. And so the one that's brand new, I use specifically to clear out any ridges that may be on glue ups. If I have two boards that just weren't quite perfect, I can take that card scraper and I can scrape right down that edge, and it'll take it off much like a hand plane would, but in much smaller increments, and really just fine tuning little spots. What I use the dirty one for, this is great to get glue out of corners or even down seams. You can just take this card scraper, run it right down, get the majority of the glue up, and it makes your cleanup a lot easier. So the next item is a good square. It is extremely important to have a good square. This is the one that I actually keep in my shop apron at all times, and then I have other larger versions. I wanted something small for my apron. However, this one just hangs on my wall next to my assembly table, but having a good square is extremely important. And the reason I like having a small one and I like having one handy all the time is because anytime I'm doing a glue up or building anything really, I can simply pull this out, I can check to make sure that my piece is square, and I know with 100% certainty that this is exactly 90 degrees. This one specifically is the Incra Guaranteed Square, and then this one, like all Woodpeckers products, is an excellent option, and 100% I know that each one of these is perfectly square. So for my last item, I want to talk to you about my shop apron itself. And the reason why I want to bring this up, and I think it's an invaluable tool that every woodworker should have, is because if you are tired of putting stuff down that you use all the time and you spend 15 minutes trying to locate it, get a shop apron. This has been the biggest change in productivity for me in my shop. There are multiple different versions that you can get out there from multiple different companies. Mine is from Dragonfly Woodworking and Leather. And the great thing about this is that I got to set it up exactly the way I wanted it. So I have all of my tools where I need them, where I want them at all times, and my stuff is always readily accessible. I never have to put pencils down again. I never have to drop my measuring tape and leave it somewhere. If you want something that is going to make you more productive and work faster in the shop and just stop the annoyingness of always looking for the thing you put down, I would 100% recommend you get a shop apron. If you're interested in finding out more information specifically about the shop apron, go over to my YouTube channel and check out the video that I did a few weeks back when I first got it. It's a very detailed video and it covers the entire process of ordering a woodworking apron through Dragonfly Woodworking and Leather. That is all I have for you guys this week. Like I said, all the products that I talked about in this video are in no way sponsors of mine. They're just tools that I truly believe in and have really made a huge difference for me in the shop, and they're all relatively affordable and you can get just about anywhere. As I stated earlier, I will leave links to all of these items if you want to go check them out and find a little bit more details. I'll also leave a link to Dragonfly Woodworking and Leather. All of this will be down in the description below. That's going to do it for me for this week. If you have any comments or questions or anything, please feel free to leave those down below in the comments section. Or if you're not following me on Instagram, go check me out there at Ben's Woodworking, and you can send me a DM anytime and I will respond to you as quickly as I possibly can. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I really look forward to our next video. I'll see you then.